Hi, everybody. Welcome back to my LinkedIn Lives. I'm Jasmine Navarro, Certified Wellbeing Expert, and I work with educational institutions and companies, helping them support their well-being. And as you know, every week, you must know because it's been every week for a long time, I interview different experts who make a difference in people's lives. Today, I'm very excited to be speaking to James. James, welcome and pleasure to have you. Can you tell us about yourself and what you do?
Hi, Jasmine. It's a pleasure to be here. And my name's James, and I'm a career and positive growth coach. And I'm also working as an educator in a university and a careers mentor. So the reason I'm here today talking about feeling stuck in your career is because...
Wait, or before you tell us about that.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. Tell us more about what you do, and then we can talk about that.
Okay, so I help people who are particularly struggling with their careers and deciding what they want to do next, whether it's to stay in their job, whether it's to apply for new jobs. I particularly work with university students at the moment.
Okay.
So helping them with internships, job applications, writing CVs.
Amazing.
But I'm also particularly interested in people who, are already in the mid stage of their career and want a change for various reasons, and just how to go about that process, because it can be quite overwhelming.
Brilliant. So you chose this topic, what to do when you're feeling stuck in your career. What made you choose that? Is it because of all the people you work with, or?
It's a mixture of that, and just throughout the last couple of years, I've noticed a lot of people just mentioning wanting to change career, and they tend to be in the middle ages, and for, like I said, different reasons. It might be because they're fed up with their job. It might be because they just moving country. It tends to be quite a big factor as well, and it just inspired me.
Okay, great. And hello, everybody who's here. Tim, if you're there, please say hi, because Tim normally signs in every week. But anyway, anybody else who's here, please say hi. And if you have any questions or comments, please let us know. We would love to hear from you. So, James, tell us, what is the first thing to do when you're feeling stuck in your career? I mean, I know I have felt stuck in my career, not now, but before. How do you help people who are stuck in their career? A
lot of different places you can start. Something I like to do is get to the heart of why people are stuck.
Yes.
And it might be a case of just simply asking how it feels, what kind of emotions are going on, first of all. Because that can give you I think it's something that people don't tend to ask, and without people asking, being able to express it, it can be hard to understand yourself.
That's great. Actually, that's a really good point. So I guess when you're working...
Can I ask you, when you felt stuck, what are some of the feelings or emotions that you had going on?
I love that. I just have to say, I do love that question, because I think I put a post, was it up today or yesterday, about emotions. I think once we get in touch with our emotions and use them as a tool, as they are, it's just life-changing, isn't it? Because we can get so much information from our emotions, and it helps us in all sorts of ways. So I love that question. So how was I feeling when I was stuck in my career? Well, stuck, if that's a feeling. I mean, I think trapped, stuck, no way out, in prison, helpless. I think helpless. This was on a bad day. When I think with me, James, I knew after a certain period of time I was in the wrong career, and I knew there was something more that I should be doing, which is what I'm doing now. I knew there was something else, but I didn't know what. And I just felt, I think helpless would be helpless, hopeless would be the emotions that come to mind.
I like that, yeah, because helpless, because if you don't know what it is, right? Like, how do you begin to fix it, right?
Exactly. I love that question. Yes, carry on.
Yeah, and I think like it can feel quite lonely and just maybe feelings of shame as well, because you might just feel that others who are maybe you don't know or you do know, others are not going through it. You might assume, and then therefore
That's true.
you seem, like the odd one out, or like other people are progressing, and you're not. I guess comparing yourself to others.
Yeah, that's very important actually. And I think actually with any sort of thing we're going through, we can feel lonely, can't we? And I think loneliness is actually a big one, especially, well, normally, yeah, if you're going through something that's not sort of nice, people don't generally speak about the things that they're going through that are uncomfortable or not nice. Yeah. So I think that sort of comes with it, doesn't it? When you're going through something that's not positive, well, it could be positive in the end, but you're more likely to feel lonely. I think that's a really good point to make.
Yeah, and if people aren't open about it, you don't know, right? We're terrible at mind reading, and it's just we can go down a whole rabbit hole with that. The other thing we wanted to talk about, just why people feel stuck. I think it can be a range of reasons.
So before we go on to that, James, when you get the emotions from when you ask them their emotions, what they're feeling, what happens next? Does that normally sort of help them once they start identifying what they're feeling? Does that make them more motivated to change, or is it like where would you go?
It often stumps people for a bit when you ask them, because I guess I'm assuming it's just not been asked or not been thought about. You kind of skip past the emotion part and go straight to the thinking part. I think in just that little kind of simple question, some people just have some realizations, and just you need to give it a bit of time. You can't rush it to ask someone how they feel. But just I find that they have like mini realizations of just like, that's how it feels.
I guess it's a first step. A first step to awareness, emotional awareness. I think it's the most. I guess it's like one of the first questions you can ask. And like, what would you say to anybody who's watching now, if they're feeling stuck in their career? Because maybe they're just going through a bad time. Because sometimes when we're going through a difficult period in our life, could be with our family or something else, we might just sort of hate everything and then feel stuck. Like, how do we know, like, we're stuck in our career? How do we know we feel stuck?
I think it's a process that just needs to be started, and I find journaling is generally a good way of just starting something, to be able to just separate your ideas, put them on paper. I think they call it the cognition theory, where it's just once you start writing, it can help reorganize your thoughts at times.
I love that.
Just take them from your head. And again, it can kind of being able to like label some emotions helps you just identify with them, and kind of sometimes separates you could say your judgment or what you think of having that emotion. And perhaps it stops you rushing to just blaming yourself or feeling shame for just feeling like this, and that you're somewhat responsible. So I think it.
Sorry. I think when you journal as well, like you said, it gives you a whole new clarity, and it does sort of help you process some of your emotions as well. Because if you can get them on paper, they're coming out of your body, aren't they? Of course, there's more work to do as well, maybe coaching therapy, but I think it's very important to start the process of your emotions as well. But anyway, sorry, I just wanted to say that.
I think there's a range of reasons that people might be feeling stuck, and in order to address them, I don't want to make it sound really simple, but you have to start somewhere, right? I think motivation is a big deal. And something for me is just having certain questions that you can just begin to answer, to just begin to explore and be curious about. So the idea of just feeling, if you're challenged enough, whether something's too easy or too difficult, especially if you've been doing it a long time, and not much has changed in your job. So the idea of challenge. And again, how much autonomy or freedom that you have, being able to just have some kind of expression or creativity in what you do. So I guess asking yourself if there are parts of your job where you can be creative in your own way, or whether you're just following a set.
It's funny. It's funny, actually, because when you were saying like being stuck in your career, I automatically thought, okay, if we're stuck in our career, because I remember I felt, actually, I wasn't stuck. I felt unhappy. I felt there was something else I was supposed to be doing something else. So I guess I've actually misunderstood the question in one way, because it sounds like you're going to think there could be solutions within. It doesn't mean you have to change career. Like for me, I knew I was I felt stuck because I knew I was in the wrong sort of career and I needed to change. But I think what you're saying as well is, just because you feel stuck in your career, it doesn't mean you have to completely change careers like I did. It might just mean you could just change a few things within your career, and that could make a whole load of difference. So that's brilliant.
That's a really good point. And I think that if anyone's listening today and there was anything to take away, that would be it. It's just a lot of people might think stuck in a job, that means I need to leave it, right? And then it's just like where to go next. And you kind of, a lot of people can skip over the part of just being able to just change your mindset in what you're doing in your job. Something called job crafting, which I think is quite an effective way of just starting with the process. So
I love it.
Leaving your job, that can create a lot of overwhelm, because then it might end up, being like moving house, moving town, relocating. And if you have families, that can be, a whole different ball game. So I think that's a really good point that you made, and being able to just, first of all, just see if there are ways that you can move sideways, move upwards, where you are.
I love that.
What you do. And there's 3 types of crafting I like to work with my clients. And one of them is task crafting. So it's just finding something you do on a daily basis. It could be going to a meeting, right? And there's something called the VIA character strengths. If any of the listeners are familiar with, it's basically a set of 24 values that people that help, I guess, naturally motivate people. And one simple activity you might do is just look at something that you're doing, like going to a meeting, and just thinking, what strength could I use to just make this more interesting?
Amazing.
I'll leave that there for now. Another thing is cognitive crafting, which is just basically your mindset of your job. So it might start with a simple process like write down 3 things you're grateful for in your current job each day. See how that goes for a week or so. Obviously, if you're struggling, then it can be a sign that, something needs more thought or more work. I found this an interesting process myself, because a number of years ago, I wanted to change from being a teacher. And when I started doing this task, I actually realized a lot of the things I do in teaching actually are things that I value, and something I didn't realize at first. I don't know if at the time that you were going through that process, if it involved exploring your values, did it?
Well, that's a really good question. I mean, at the time, it's like I was a teacher, and I loved certain parts of my job. Like I knew, like I valued building the relationship with my students, and I valued so many things. I mean, I never, took part in an activity to identify my values until I took part in my coach training, and that's when I learned what my values were. I already knew what they were, but I'd never spoken about them or identified them, and I think that brings a whole new level of clarity, doesn't it, when you actually name them and you can see what they are. And I think I knew, like I said, I knew what I loved about teaching. I knew what I wanted to change. It was the subject that I wanted to change. I wanted to teach something more meaningful, and I already knew that. But so it didn't help me in that way. Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah, just not wanting to help people, just being limited to language teaching. But
exactly.
Impact like that.
But yeah, so
values of teaching, as I'm sure you can, that resonate with you, are just wanting to help people, valuing growth, kindness, just being able to be able to support someone.
So no, I love all the tips that you're saying. So if somebody's stuck in their career, so first of all, they need to decide, do I need to change careers, or do I just need to change something else? Because I love what you said about the mindset, because also if you're in your best mindset, you could probably enjoy almost anything, couldn't you?
That's true. Well.
Yeah. Make the most of everything.
You can, yeah, to a certain degree. And I think that you have to be careful of the idea of, toxic positivity, where people are like telling, certain, just be happy or just smile and just.
Oh, no. Yeah.
Will be fine. I think things like forgiveness or patience are things that you can have as a value, but there's overusing your values at some points that become unhealthy, right?
Yes.
Everything in moderation, right? Too much of a good thing becomes a bad thing.
Yeah.
I think there's always that line there, which, there's only so long that you can do it for.
No, but I meant actually when you've worked on yourself so much and you get to a place of like peace, enlightenment, and nothing around you affects you, and all of this, which I'm not there yet, but that's where I'd like to be. If you're in that place, whatever job you're at, you're probably going to love it, because you're getting everything from within. So then it doesn't even matter what career you have. Anyway, that's just I just thought about that when you said
that. That's a very good point.
When you said about mindsets.
It's no way that simple. I don't want to like make it sound super simple like this. Like it's just here's a
of course, yeah.
Number of rules that you need to follow. No, it's different for every person. And I guess it comes back to what you value. And if you find that process works for you and it's okay and you're at peace with what you do, plenty of people do that and, find joy in other areas of their lives. I think for work, it's a good third of your life, a good third of your waking hours are spent working. So I guess there's that argument for just making that something that's not just bearable or peaceful.
Of course.
Something more.
Okay. Next, I think, when you work on yourself, I think, and like you said, with those questions, asking yourself some key questions, knowing what your values are, that is working on yourself, isn't it? And I think that can lead to you knowing what to do next rather than being stuck.
And there was one part more of like the crafting process that I like to kind of explore, and it's relationship crafting. And that's particularly just people in your current network, your social network, whether it's at work, professional, or even non-professional, where they come into play. I think it's easier to start with the people that you know, and just starting by telling them, what your plans are, rather than talking about what you're doing and what's happening and what's happened before, like what are your next steps. And by just simply even starting that conversation and letting people know what you want to do and what you plan to do, plenty of people, I think there's a ridiculous percentage of just people in America that find jobs from people that they know. Like it's something like 60 or 70% of
Ah,
people
okay. Oh, so
end up
you mean if you're
finding
looking for a
jobs
job? So
through networking.
if you've decided you want to change career, then
I mean,
or
when
not?
they get another job, being based on someone they know, and getting a job that way.
Okay, so finding a job. We're talking about finding a job now.
Yeah, so looking
Yes.
at the people in your network, the relationships you have. So starting with the people that you know already, because that's a very simple process, right? You have already access to them, and you already know them, so you might feel more comfortable approaching them and telling them rather than a stranger. If that doesn't happen to be, if you don't have the people in your network, you might explore people in a professional context, and it might be as simple as going on LinkedIn or whatever social media platforms you use, or other
Okay.
platforms, and people in your workplace.
Okay, so this is to help. So if you're feeling stuck, again, another thing you could do is explore, have conversations, and see what's out there.
And if there's a field, yeah, and if there's a field that you want to move into specifically, you might try and find a mentor in that field. And this is great for a number of reasons. You can get a feel for what it's like to do the job that you're thinking of, because, it might be, you might have lots of ideas, right? And that can be quite overwhelming. So it helps by just starting to address them and trying things out.
Okay.
Um, and
Okay.
that can be easier once you have someone to ask. That you might set up a quick chat with them. It's something I did earlier today, actually. Just a quick chat. Somebody I didn't know, but that was on a webinar, and I asked them, sent them a brief email,
Yeah.
3 short questions, yes or
Okay.
no questions, because you don't want to ask too much, especially if someone you don't know. And it might be, questions like, for someone trying, how did you land your job? It might be, for someone like me going into this field, what would make me stand out? Is there a certain podcast
Oh,
or
so asking somebody else. Okay. Okay.
that's already in the field that you want to go into?
If you know, yeah. Okay. Okay. No, good.
So using
Yeah.
the relationships around you, the network that you have, and I think that can be easily. I think a lot of people I found when I've talked to them, once you start asking them who they know, who does the job that they want to do,
Yeah, of course.
and
Communicate,
simply
definitely.
just having that conversation, as so many people don't do it, which it
Yes.
seems insane, but it makes.
Okay.
I'm sure there's
So
reasons.
can we recap on these? Because so if you're feeling stuck in your career, the first thing to do is ask yourself how you're feeling. Maybe
Start exploring your emotions, yeah, labeling
exploring your
them.
emotions, maybe maybe journal them as well, so you can gain some clarity and see how you're really feeling and what's causing it. So explore your emotions. What was the next thing?
So then looking at task crafting, so something that you can do in your job every
Oh yeah.
day that's routine, and how you might make it more interesting.
Oh, I think that's a really good one. Okay, so it's about, I like that. It's about changing, instead of thinking I'm unhappy, I need to change my whole life. Start by trial, so trying new things, so changing different aspects of your job, whether it be, so you could change your routine or how you are when you go to meetings, or change your approach. I don't know, other things. Okay, and see what comes up there. What was the next one?
So cognitive crafting, so the mindset, I guess that they're closely related. They are. It's just
Okay.
looking at your current situation to just make sure that it's,
Yeah,
there are
working on yourself
what
again.
you appreciate in what you do, to just help you understand what you enjoy. I think
Amazing.
that's the important thing there. It's that
Get the
reflection process,
awareness. Okay.
which a lot of people might skip. And as well, it might involve No, go on.
Okay, yeah, no, so that helps you get the awareness, and to see what you actually do like about your job. Because maybe imagine if you're really unhappy, you might not find anything. I mean, you probably will, but okay. And then the last one was the relationship task and the relationship graph. What is it called? Relationship
Crafting. Yeah. So
crafting.
exploring people in your network. Start with the people that you know, and just let them know what it is that you want and what you want to do differently. So you never know. There might be people that know someone, and it is a small world a lot of the time.
Of course, and it might just be because if you're feeling stuck in your career, you might not know what to do. But just having a conversation with someone different about something different to do with your career might spark an idea as well. Because often when we have these conversations, you just start realizing things, don't you, as you're talking and as you're listening to another person. So I think starting conversations, I think, is always a good one.
Can definitely resonate with that. I'm one of those people that might be in a webinar or a class and then likes to put their hand up and speak, but then I haven't thought about my answer, and then I start speaking. But then later on, and I might not say the right thing, but later on, I'm like, makes more sense to me now.
Exactly. Things you learn.
Right?
You got to spark ideas. No, that's really interesting, James. Anybody who's listening, please let us know your thoughts. And
one
another
more
one.
thing. Yeah,
one more. Okay.
No, from what we said earlier, just not immediately jumping up and feeling like you need to leave your job, but exploring what options are in where you are, and whether it can be a move sideways or upwards before making a big change, which can be very overwhelming.
Yeah, and I think sometimes we can be quick to want to change what's going on around us, which actually, of course, does affect us. But sometimes it's changing how we're reacting to things as well. And I'm not saying if you're unhappy in your career, stay there. But I mean, there's a number of things I think that come into play when we're feeling stuck. Because sometimes if we're stuck in one area, we might be stuck in another area as well.
Definitely has a knock-on effect. Yeah.
It does, yeah. So I think awareness is actually key, as always. It comes back to that. But I like what you said about changing small things. I really, really love that. And
it can be an easier process for a lot of people.
Yes. And hi, Raid, how are you doing? He said, really, it's a very important topic, but if someone passed on the situation, he or she should regain their passion and search for another challenge. So to reshape their career, maybe another place or position to work on. Very interesting, yes. And that's exactly what, as James was saying, it's about, possibly reshaping your career. Yeah, maybe having a transfer or changing positions, or you don't have to change everything, but you can as well. So thank you very much, Red. Yes.
I'm not sure yet, right? Just want to make a little note on that. A lot of people have explored how the idea of having one passion, right? And it might be as small as 20% of people just having just one passion, but most people have multiple passions. And I think it's important to bear in mind, if it's not just getting hung up on the idea that it might just be one passion that you have, but bearing in mind there could be multiple ones, and being open to that.
Amazing. Thank you very much. Thank you, Raid, for your comment. And I think we've run out of time. So, James, thank you so much for sharing that. Do you have anything else to say about that before we go? And how can people find you?
I could talk for much longer about this, but I won't. I'll keep it. I'll leave it there, because it's such a big topic. And
exactly.
I wouldn't want to just start something and not be able to finish it. You can find me on my website, and it's called flourishingthoughts.com. You can also find me on LinkedIn. If you leave a comment under the LinkedIn Live, and I would be more than happy to connect. And any questions that you have that you wanted to ask that you're not able to ask now, I'd be more than happy to answer that.
Amazing. And James, do you mind on the post, do you mind writing just those things that you said, not the whole thing, but the crafting, like each one, and then if anybody's interested, they can find out more about that. But if you could just put relationship crafting, task crafting, that would be great. And then you could put your website there as well.
Yeah, that sounds perfect.
Amazing. Thank you so much, everybody. Please feel free to message either of us or leave comments. And thank you so much, James. And I will see everybody next week.